Namaskar. Welcome to this special midweek show of Media Scan. Since the attack on innocent tourists at Pahalgam on Tuesday, the one question that everybody is asking is, how long will India bear the cost of this mindless terror emanating from Pakistan? Should Pakistan not be made to pay for the crime against humanity? On Wednesday, New Delhi took the first steps against this horrible terror attack by announcing some harsh diplomatic measures following a marathon meeting of the CCS, the Cabinet Committee on Security.
Indus Waters Treaty of 1960 will be held in abeyance with immediate effect until Pakistan credibly and irrevocably abjures its support for cross-border terrorism. The integrated checkpost Atari will be closed with immediate effect. Those who have crossed over with valid endorsements may return through that route before 1 May 2025. Pakistani nationals will not be permitted to travel to India under the SARC visa exemption scheme visas. Any Pakistani national currently in India under SPES visa has 48 hours to leave India. The defense, military, naval and air advisors in the Pakistani High Commission in New Delhi are declared persona non grata. They have a week to leave India. India will be withdrawing its own defense, navy and air advisors from the Indian High Commission in Islamabad.
So those were some of the measures that were taken on Wednesday late evening following that very important meeting of the CCS. Meanwhile, on Media Scan this evening, we ask along with the country, how do we make Pakistan pay for this terror? And to take you down this very important subject and decode India's response to this whole challenge, I have here with me a panel of special guests, all experts in their own domain. Joining me this evening, Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni. You have been listening to him on Media Scan on various occasions. Welcome, sir. Namaskar.
Thank you. Namaste.
Also with us, another veteran expert on internal security terror. We all follow his platform, the South Asia Terrorism Portal, Ajay Sahni. And on the panel, again, a senior journalist, Aditya Rajkol, has been tracking this entire beat, this area for a very long time. Hello, Aditya. Welcome. First of all, we want to come back to what the Foreign Secretary just announced on Wednesday night regarding a set of measures in order to give a message to the world that India will not take this lying down. There are some questions arising out of this announcement. General Kulkarni, coming to you, sir. First of all, the most talking point in the entire announcement was what India called putting the Indus Water Treaty in abeyance. Now, people are slightly foggy about what keeping the treaty in abeyance might mean. Also, some have raised the question whether, in practical terms, one can actually do anything under the treaty to stop water flow to our western neighbor. How do you look at it, sir?
First and foremost, of course, what's happened is very, very sad. But the steps being taken, I would say, are in the right direction. First and foremost, the Indus Water Treaty that you are referring to of 1960, the eastern rivers flow for our reserve for India, that includes the Ravi, Beas and Satluj, and Jhelum, Chenab and Indus, the western rivers, the water is for Pakistan. But most of the water, almost 85% of the water is being used by Pakistan. So if that was to be held in abeyance, which of course water, it would take time for all of it to fructify, but notwithstanding, 24% of the GDP of Pakistan is totally dependent on the water which flows from the Indus Water, this Indus Water Treaty, firstly. Secondly, even about 74% of the water that is there made available to Pakistan is through this particular treaty. Should this water not be there, you would find that it would almost turn into a desert. And
Right.
this water treaty, which has been negotiated by the World Bank, has stood the test of time since 60, despite having gone to wars, having very, very low relations diplomatically and militarily also. So since then, but this kind of a straight holding an IWT treaty in abeyance is an indication that Pakistan has been told knows total zero tolerance, and therefore either they mend their ways or they're going to suffer. Suffer to the extent that Pakistan can turn into a desert should the IWT treaty be held in abeyance or even abrogated if Pakistan doesn't mend its ways. So it's a very important step taken. Of course, it's a water flow and all of it would take time, but that's a huge signal being given to Pakistan that please mend your ways. It's enough is enough. The water has flown over our head. We cannot accept this kind of, because Pakistan has been using terror as an instrument of state policy all along. Even now, of course, you find a lot of statements emanating from there, shaky, very, very nervous that Pakistan is not involved, Pakistan hasn't done this, and Pakistan hasn't done that, which always they're in denial mode. But the Hate India campaign, wanting to bleed India with 1,000 cuts, to be able to hit the J&K at a place where it would hurt them the most, because tourism is something over 2 crore people have gone to the valley as part of tourists.
General, we will come to the denials of Pakistan and how much of a stamp of Pakistan is visible here. But as you just said, we can stop the water flow. But right now, it is a stern message to the Western neighbor. Coming to Ajay Sani here, sir, immediately after India's statement, Pakistan was quick to go into denial mode and say that they had nothing to do with this whole attack. But experts are saying, and you must have followed the media reports, that the stamp of Pakistan is just so clearly visible in this entire matter. And this is not just about the terrorists who were seen there. It is also about the manner of the execution of this entire attack. So how do you look at the stamp of Pakistan? Are we sure? Because there have been voices from within India also, stray voices, saying, why are we so sure about Pakistan being involved?
Well, there is a very long history. It's a history of 35 years of proxy terrorism in Jammu Kashmir.
Yes.
The incident itself has been claimed by a known proxy of the Lashkar-e-Taiba. The Lashkar-e-Taiba, the top leadership, is based in Pakistan, operates openly, advertises its programs, advertises recruitment, advertises requests or pleas for contributions and donations to jihad in India. So even if we go by documented secondary evidence, it is very clear that that this group, the so-called resistance force, which is a proxy of the Lashkar-e-Taiba, is operating with complete freedom in Pakistan.
Secondly, you mean the resistance front, for the benefit of our viewers, the TRF?
The resistance front, yes. Oh, I'm sorry, yes, the resistance front. And the weaponry that has come in has been used, the levels of training. There have been so many incidents of the recent past where we see extremely low-trained individuals participating over the last few years in small acts of terrorism. The local capacity or capability, both for acquisition of weaponry and for training, has been substantially, I would say, discovered and neutralized. So whatever is happening over the last several incidents we have seen where individuals have been identified, and 3 of the individuals in this case have already been named by the police with sketches and descriptives. And there is a record of their having crossed over, 2 of them having crossed over to Pakistan in 2017. There are sufficient intelligence flows. We know that there are frequent efforts, some of them, increasingly smaller numbers of them, success for infiltration across the line of control and international border from Pakistan into India. There have been several, not only in Jammu Kashmir, but also in Punjab, so many drone droppings of weapons. So all these factors put together make it fairly clear that the Pakistani hand, not only as Lashkar-e-Taiba, but of the Pakistani state, is
Right.
clearly behind a succession of these attacks. And this attack has a firm footprint of the same patterns.
So
That
not
have been
only
demonstrated to be-
are
yeah.
terrorist groups, the stamp of the terrorist groups quite starkly visible in this attack. It is even maybe and some arms of the Pakistan army directly. And it's not been long when we heard the army general in Pakistan speaking about the two-nation theory, who was sounding more like a completely bigoted and hate-filled mullah, if I may say, rather than an army
May
general.
I intervene there? You know, most of the people who are talking about Munir's speech have probably not heard it.
Well,
Munir has not said a single thing that has not been said 100 times before by leaders, including military leaders in Pakistan, including General Musharraf, who also used the same phrase that Kashmir is the jugular vein of Pakistan. So we need to sort of take a objective view of these various statements and the various associations we are making or the conclusions we are drawing from them. Munir has said precisely what all military leaders and political leaders in Pakistan have said, that Kashmir is a core objective of Pakistan. I would not link it to any individual case. I would link it, this is what I would like to say. This war with Pakistan did not start on the 22nd of April 2025. It's an ongoing conflict.
yes, that is
Munir is
given,
not the
sir.
person who has
Yes.
started it. 35 years leaders have supported this.
Right.
So this is a protracted conflict. It's a long war. Every time they fire a shot, we don't start a new analysis that why did they do it? Munir said this, so-and-so came to India, so-and-so went to Pakistan. All that is not important. Every leader in Pakistan has supported the jihad in Jammu Kashmir.
Point taken, sir. Point taken. I will like to come to Aditya here. Aditya, Hafiz Saeed, while on the one hand, Pakistan is trying to deny its involvement, Hafiz Saeed, in a very comment filled with bravado, has said, "Agar pani band karoge to khoon bahega." But that is Hafiz Saeed. We can leave him for a second. There are statements in our country, most recently by a person who is not even an official member of Congress Party, Robert Vadra, other politicians here and there in the country who have tried, in a very clever manner to issue statements which, on the one hand, they try to condemn the terror attack, they try to express their sympathy with the victims, but on the other hand, they are willy-nilly blaming the environment in the country, the politics of the country, and so in a very clever manner trying to justify what happened as, an obvious outcome of what is going on within India. How do you look at those statements, including Hafiz Saeed?
At a time when such a dastardly, cowardly terror attack has taken place, one would expect the entire country to unite behind the Indian security forces, in particular the Indian Army, which is at the forefront of this war against Pakistan-sponsored terror. And time and again, we've seen often that whenever such cowardly terror attacks take place, the biggest example, 26/11, there were, similar kind of political, brickbats, agendas, and unfortunately politics played on such terror attacks. But as a strategic, affairs expert who has tracked Pakistan and Kashmir for almost 2 decades, I would refrain from, getting into the politics of it. But I would only focus on what's happening right now. I think India has given a very stern diplomatic message to Pakistan, and it's a very systematic step-by-step manner approach and whole of government approach that is being witnessed. The Cabinet Committee on Security meeting went on for 2.5 hours,
Yes.
clearly signifying that they are very serious with what has happened. And what Prime Minister Narendra Modi has also said in his speech in Bihar gives a very loud message. He spoke in Hindi as well as in English. And that was because he wants the international community to hear what India is going through. India has
Correct.
been a victim of terror for a very long time, and India cannot tolerate it anymore. Our patience is, running out. And as I said, yes, there is one Lashkar-e-Taiba, Jaish-e-Mohammed, Hizbul Mujahideen, Al-Badr and others, these terror organizations who have unleashed this proxy war at the behest of the Pakistan deep state. But at the top of this entire conspiracy and the plot is certainly Asim Munir, is certainly, Pakistan Army. So we will have to, talk about what Asim Munir has said. We will have to talk about what the Pakistan Army has been saying for a very long time, and also the frustration that Pakistan Army has been going through. There are multiple reasons. One, what's happening in Balochistan and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa over the last 3 years. In fact, in the last 3 months itself, every single day, there are killings of the Pakistan Army, Frontier Corps, and several Punjabi civilians taking place across Balochistan. Khyber Pakhtunkhwa is similar, where the TTP and the Pashtun are fighting against the Pakistani forces on a daily basis, and the Pakistan media does not report this. So there's a growing frustration that Asim Munir has been suffering. And to top it all, Imran Khan and his entire, support across Pakistan. Asim Munir is not under control. The economic collapse of Pakistan is visible. The political collapse of Pakistan is visible, and the security situation has been deteriorating. So at that time, he is just trying to deflect attention towards Jammu and Kashmir. And if we go by his statement, his anti-India and anti-Hindu rant, it was amply clear that something was going to happen. And, in fact, I had written an article on the 18th of Feb that India should be prepared for this new jihadist wave that Pakistan will unleash on Kashmir. It's
unfortunately,
what happened in Pahalgam. Tourist spots were not attacked earlier. So this was, there was some kind of intelligence that terrorists were roaming in that area. But I'm pretty sure that the Indian security forces, the Indian government, will certainly give a very strong response to this.
Correct. And in fact, it is always a frustrated person, who will target innocent civilians, soft targets, who are not in a position to defend themselves. But since you mentioned the Prime Minister's very unambiguous, very, very emphatic statement made in Bihar, let's just play out that bite before we proceed with this very interesting conversation.
From the soil of Bihar, I say to the whole world, India will identify, track and punish every terrorist and their backers. We will pursue them to the ends of the earth. India's spirit will never be broken by terrorism. Terrorism will not go unpunished. Every effort will be made to ensure that justice is done. The entire nation is firm in this resolve. Everyone who believes in humanity is with us. I thank the people of various countries and their leaders who have stood with us in these times.
So, General Kulkarni, very, very clear and unambiguous words from the Prime Minister. And I am reminded that, even before the CCS met, there was lot of discussion going on among experts about what kind of options India has. You are already seeing the sentiment across the country. People are really not, ready to get pacified without some action. So now with the Prime Minister being so clear in his words, is a military option open? Are we expecting some kind of an action, even if we do not know the timing of it? What message do you derive from the Prime Minister's comments?
I think the Prime Minister has given an unambiguous statement to state very clearly that we are going to retaliate, that there should be no doubt, and we shall ensure and justice will be done. And that itself is adequate coming from the Prime Minister of the country, since he only yesterday he chaired the CCS meet in which all these the first stage of the ladder in terms of increasing has already been stated by him. So having said that, and having even spoken when he is addressing the audience in Hindi, he switches off on to speaking in English, is indicative that he was now addressing the world audience, and he was clearly indicating to the world that enough is enough. The water's flown over our head. We can't take it any longer. And he's also stated that all those who believe in humanity stand behind him. He's thanked them all, and he said that he would leave no stone unturned to ensure that justice is done. And this, whoever is the perpetrator, wherever he is, one in front and one behind, anyone and everyone will be dealt with. and that is adequate to convey in no uncertain terms. And that is the reason why you find statements coming even from Pakistan very clearly. Even Hafiz Saeed, number 2, who he's come on this thing in the media to say that we are being blamed for this. We are not. We in fact condone this, and we are conveying our sympathies. Is clearly indicative.
That reminds me, General, there are statements coming from people who are government functionaries in Pakistan. There is an announcement about a missile exercise immediately tonight. And then there are people saying, please don't forget that we have the nuclear power. It is our biggest deterrent, etc. You think there is some activity going on? They are also sort of, apprehensive of some action?
Obviously, because after what had happened at Balakot, the surgical strike's been done, the tough image and the messages that the Prime Minister conveys, and he has almost been, walked the talk, whatever, and whenever he has said something, he's done it. And therefore, Pakistan is obviously scared, and they don't really know how India will react. When will India react? With what force level India will react? All options are being worked out. We can't discuss those options out in the open. But notwithstanding, if the Prime Minister is saying something, before that the Raksha Mantri said it very clearly. So all these are clear indicators that Pakistan is now going to have it, and rightly so. Because Pakistan has all along been using terrorism.
Let me also get a take from Ajay Sahni. Mr. Sahni, how do you look at the Prime Minister's statement? Is it a clear signal that retaliatory action is a given now?
I think that is a given in any event, whether or not he says it. Because, statements of this nature are usually made in the wake of almost every major terrorist incident by successive prime ministers. True. But I think at the present juncture, there is a far more serious commitment to retaliation. This government has in the past also ensured with whatever effectiveness that some retaliation occurs in terms of past major catastrophic incidents that have taken place. So I am very sure there will be retaliation, and also they have the announcements already made suggest that we are going beyond the previous limits of reaction, especially the declaration on the Indus Waters Treaty. So I think definitely more is being planned. Importantly, there is going to be a all-party meeting this evening.
Sir, does that mean the nature of the retaliation may be bigger than what has been seen so far?
You see, the nature of the retaliation, I think, is we are wasting time speculating. First of all, I don't think we are talking about a lot of hysteria on a lot of channels and social media is ongoing that we will go to war. Now, these are people who have not made any kind of a calculation of the cost of war, the consequences of war, even a successful war, and the uncertainties of war. Russia went in for a short, quick operation in Ukraine. They're still sitting there 3 years later. 3 years. So I think those are extremes that we should exclude as an option. Some kind of a surgical strike, Balakot kind of operation may be considered. I don't think those achieved any major strategic gains. But I think the most, shall we say, productive intervention would be to look at Pakistan's current conditions, which are disastrous on almost every parameter, and see how processes of deterioration can be accelerated by covert action.
Fine.
And covert responses are the best responses that would be.
Interesting, sir. But I just have time enough for a quick take from Aditya on this. Aditya, Mr. Sahni was just mentioning about the hysteria being built up in the media. But, I was also taking a look at some of the media coverage from other countries. There is a long story in Al Jazeera where every attempt has been made to justify what happened in Kashmir, to say that as if India invited that attack upon itself because of its kind of politics. Then there is the BBC, which is not even ready to call them terrorists or even militants. It has, it has named them gunmen, and it doesn't name Pakistan anywhere. And not just that, it is talking as if, there is a skirmish on a roadside somewhere, and some stray boy has come and, fired a weapon at someone. Not the kind of the precision attack, the planned attack that was made. So there is still a section of the media in the foreign countries which is still not ready to look at India's point of view even after they have suffered themselves in terrorism?
Foreign media is habitual of doing this for a very long time. If there is a terror attack taking place in UK or US, they will immediately call them Islamist terrorists. But when
Yes.
it comes to India, they will say militants, they will say gunmen, and they will not even refer it as a terror attack. And this is a hypocrisy that we have seen time and again. Globally, at least on the social media and other media, they have been exposed time and again. So I think, people are there exposing them and giving them the reality and showing them the mirror. But I'll also say, what happens when a terror attack of this barbaric nature happens? Emotions are running high. People are upset. It's not only hysteria. Yes, often media may go into hysteria, but the common people are upset. They're seething, they're angry, and they're expecting that the government will take a very strong action, not just a diplomatic and economic in nature, but a military strike. And what happened after the Pulwama terror attack? We did multiple things. On the same night, the government decided that Article 370 needs to be abrogated. We need to do whatever we want as per the Indian constitution and Indian law in Jammu and Kashmir, and as well as a military kinetic operation that was Balakot. There are multiple things that the government is considering right now as well. And it's a multi-pronged approach. It's a whole government approach. One is, of course, the diplomatic and economic things that government has already done. But government is also considering both internal and external changes that could happen. What I would only urge is that this time the attack needs to be not just symbolic, but so strong in nature to the Pakistani deep state in both Para and Rawalpindi that they do not dare to, again think of such a jihadist attack, at least for the next decade. Because, we know, as Mr. Ajay Sani also said, that Pakistan is habitual. It's their state policy. They will not change jihadism and terrorism anytime soon. But there needs to be a strong response for the world to also witness and see that while the world remained mute spectator to Pakistan-sponsored terrorism for years and decades, here is India standing up against the bully, against the backer of terrorism, against the mothership of terrorism. Similarly, we have taken action, Smitaji, against separatists and radicals. But, we have people like Yasin Malik still inside the jail, while they have killed Indian Air Force men. They have killed Kashmiri Pandits. They have kidnapped the daughter of former Home Minister. Why not hang him? Why not take action against him even after 35 years?
All action has to be backed by a quick, fast-track legal process as well. Just keeping them in jail doesn't serve any purpose. Since you've mentioned Yasin Malik, I'm just reminded, because this is Media Scan, Mr. Ajay Sani, there is a lot of chatter also in the media about the fact that because the US extradited Tahavvur Rana and now he is in our control, perhaps there is also a kind of an irritation in Pakistan about what Rana might say now that he is in our custody. And maybe it could have been one of the factors that, triggered this horrible attack.
There is this saying in Hindi, which is Andhe ko andhere mein badi dur ki suji. These are all kite flying. Everything Tahavvur Rana has to say is already known to India. This is a 2008 conspiracy. The people who are organizing and orchestrating terrorism in Pakistan today have moved a long distance away from that situation. There is no intelligence this man can offer that we are not already aware of. So this Tahavvur Rana, first of all, is a minor player in that conspiracy. Number two, his extradition and any punishment that he may be given is of very significant symbolic value. Beyond that, in terms of Pakistan being terrified that he will expose some kind of state secret, he knows no state secrets. He's a tertiary player in this. And everything he knows, he has already spilled to American authorities and to Indian authorities who are given access to him in America during his interrogations and prior to his conviction. So there is nothing Tahavvur Rana can say or do that would in any sense jeopardize the deep state or embarrass the deep state if the deep state in Pakistan is capable of embarrassment.
Point taken, sir. Point taken. I'll come back to General Kulkarni here. Since you mentioned about the kite flying in the media, sir, one more kite flying that is going on, you will be able to tell us better whether there is some merit into it, is about, the manner of the killing that was perpetrated in Pahalgam. And people are reminding everyone about, about 2 months ago when there was a certain Jalsa, there was an event in Ravlakot in POK, and a very top level Hamas functionary was there. His name is Al Kadumi, and he had been ranting very loudly about trying to free Kashmir and fighting for the brothers in Kashmir. People are saying that this seems to be a new sinister collaboration seems to be developing, because this recent attack in Pahalgam has some stamp of the Hamas kind of execution, as we have seen in Israel and other incidents. General Kulkarni.
Definitely. I personally would say that there has been, you're right, we did see those visuals of the Hamas on motorcycles being guided and a huge kind of thing in Rawalkot. And Hamas with Pakistan and with, of course, the ISI, all of them and Lashkar-e-Taiba have been doing it. And there is no denying the fact that this kind of an instigation which comes from there, this kind of radicalization which has been put in over there, and that is why I think when the Prime Minister says that this source of terror has to be hit hard, they must be deterred for good. There is no question. And once you hit the source of terror hard, even those supporters, which there may be some kind of supporting, the overground workers, the support that they have within India, even that would be automatically be nullified and destroyed. Because until and unless the source is affected, and if the inspiration is coming from Hamas, and even the timing, what Hamas did early morning in a place over there, you find over here around 2:30 in the afternoon. Invariably, this kind of a thing, and even the kind of armors being seen on them, the kind of cameras that's being seen on them, and the kind of weapons that they were, they have been fully trained, prepared, premeditated, equally funded, trained, and being given complete equipment and communication to be able to do at what time. So this is something in which the deep state Pakistan and the Pakistan army is involved, and until and unless they are the ones who are hit hard and hit so hard that it must be, they must be made to pay for it, at least for the next 100 years, they must not lift their head. Otherwise, it would just be there, and lot of talk will be there, and something should happen on ground. Hopefully, something will happen, and Pakistan, it just might lead to the economic collapse of Pakistan.
Since you mentioned the OGW, sir, I want to come to Mr. Sani for one last time. Very quick take in one line, sir. The attack in Pahalgam, there are some comments from experts which say that perhaps while India has come out very well in terms of the threat of terror compared to previous years, but perhaps the control over OGWs has not been very satisfactory. Otherwise, such an attack would not have happened in the first place. Quickly, sir.
Were part of this group of 6. So they would have had sufficient intelligence there. There may be some OGWs, they are still sympathizers moving around in Jammu Kashmir. But the action against OGWs for the first time over the last few years has been very, very effective, has been extremely sweeping, has been very, very detailed. They've been identified, they've been arrested, they are being charge sheeted. So great gains have been made. Please understand, you cannot, this is a theater which has been in conflict for 35 years. It is not abruptly, it's like you've gone through cancer and now you are complaining about a cold. Mm-hmm. Something will remain, it will remain for a while. You have resolved the cancer. We should understand, instead of this constant criticism and grievance peddling that we keep on doing, we should understand that here we are not victims. We are victors in Jammu Kashmir. We have defeated every conspiracy of Pakistan. Yes, we have still not completed the victory. There is still a residual terrorism, but it is a residual terrorism. It is a tiny fraction of what we saw in the 90s and the early 2000s.
Fine.
Yeah. Please.
Aditya, very quickly, even if Pahalgam may have happened, there is no denying the fact that what is there now at present is just a fraction of what it used to be. And from having a very clear monitoring of the OGWs to completely, plugging terror funding, it seems India has indeed come a long way. And there is no reason to feel a setback or kind of a despondency that is visible in some sections of the media since Tuesday.
What we've witnessed in the last 6 years is a transformation in Jammu and Kashmir. And that only happened when there was a political will, when there was a plan at multiple levels, be it diplomacy, be it security, or be it the political will that I spoke about. So, Jammu and Kashmir has seen massive tourism. the numbers are, through the roof. Lakhs and crores of people going all across to Pahalgam, Gulmarg, Dudhpatri, Srinagar, all the other places. And this pained Pakistan. Pakistan did not have an answer to this flourishing tourism, flourishing investments and job opportunities and sports activities and arts and cinema halls that are coming in the Kashmir Valley. And that's why it wanted to break this narrative of a Naya Kashmir and normalcy in Kashmir by showing that the jihadist mentality and the proxy war of Pakistan is still alive. It did this event at a time when J.D. Vance, the US Vice President, was in India and Prime Minister Modi was in Saudi Arabia. Again, a very strong messaging and a plan devised to internationalize the Kashmir issue. Somewhat, they have been successful. They also want to revive terrorism in much manner. The focus of the security agencies was in Jammu and south of the Pir Panjal. There were intelligence inputs of terror attack taking place on the sidelines of Prime Minister's visit that was postponed, and also in places like Vaishno Devi or the train. But, the terror attack took place in Pahalgam. Nobody had expected that. So there are flaws that would be calculated. And of course, there would be a course correction that would be done. But overall, I see we are going on a path of peace and transformation in Jammu and Kashmir. No terrorism, no conspiracies hatched by the Pakistan army or the, ISI in Atara and Rawalpindi is going to change that. And Pakistan is imploding. Pakistan is imploding on its own. There are rebel movements underway in Balochistan and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. They need to sort their own backyard.
And their own people are, in fact, their own people are almost admitting it in so many words. But I'll give the last word to General Kulkarni. Sir, no doubt there was an effort to internationalize the issue by perpetrating this attack when the US Vice President was in India. But seeing the comments of the US VP and more importantly, President Donald Trump, and the rest of the world leaders whose messages have come, it doesn't really seem to have had, Pakistan has succeeded really in what it, set out to do.
Cannot succeed. But yes, Pakistan is totally rattled as to how is it. I go along with Aditya. The development in Kashmir is something that it is not going down their throat. The kind of railway lines being laid, the kind of infrastructure coming up, over 2 crores of tourists over there, the kind of, IITs being set up, medical colleges coming up, so much of opportunities being given. You see the revenue of the state is not even 20,000 crores.
Sir,
see the investment.
Since we have to wind up this conversation, sorry to butt in here, but very quickly, after this initial 2 days of, disappointment, do you think Kashmir will bounce back the way it was all these weeks?
100% Kashmir will bounce back. There is no denying the fact. People of Kashmir understand very clearly that it is Pakistan which is the perpetrator of terrorism. If they go along with it, you will soon find demonstrations in Kashmir against all this kind of a thing. Because after all, unki rozi roti ka sawal hai.
And people have come out in really big numbers in all towns and kasbas of Kashmir to protest against this heinous attack. But gentlemen, I'm afraid that was all the time we had on this special broadcast of Media Scan this evening. Thank you very much, Ajay Sahni, Aditya Raj, and General Kulkarni for finding the time at such a busy, at such a busy moment. We'll get back to all of you again as the situation progresses. For now, it's a wind up on Media Scan on this episode.